Not far from the White House, America's 20 years in Afghanistan is reflected here. Arlington Cemetery, the cost of this war on one patch of grass. This is the context in which a presidential pledge to end the war, to bring the troops home, was made. And yet now the consequence of a decision in Washington, chaos and accusations of abandonment, both of principles and people.
This looks like a chaotic...
The Secretary of State's message seems to be, we thought the Afghan government could defend themselves. It turned out they couldn't.
The fact is, we invested, the international community invested over 20 years, billions of dollars in these forces, 300,000 of them, with an air force, something the Taliban didn't have, with the most modern, sophisticated equipment. And unfortunately, tragically, they have not been able to defend the country.
The president is not here in Washington. He was on holiday at the Camp David retreat when all this unfolded, and he remains there. This image, released by his staff, is all we've seen of him. We're told he is being continually briefed on the consequences of a decision he says he does not regret. There are several urgent challenges right now for President Biden. Most pressing is the situation on the ground, the security and the unfolding humanitarian crisis. Just how on earth to manage that? And then there are the wider implications. What does this mean for Afghanistan, and what does it say about America? The roots of all this are, of course, here. 9/11, an attack by a terror group who was protected by the Taliban. President Bush invaded Afghanistan. The terror threat and the Taliban were removed. The administration insists that the terror threat will not re-emerge now, and yet the last few days suggest American assumptions have been wrong at every turn. How did that happen?
I am puzzled by how this happened. Clearly, the Taliban have been using the past several years of supposed negotiations to prepare for a military takeover.
In short, America was duped. These peace talks in Doha allowed the release of Taliban prisoners. America stopped its airstrikes. But Taliban assurances of power sharing, of peace, well, they were, it turns out, a veneer. Now, for the first time in 20 years, the Taliban and all that they represent are back.